It is said about the Gita that it alone is sufficient to convey the message of all the other sacred texts. It says, Kimanyai Gita Sugita Kartavya. Gita Sugita Kartavya. Kimanyai Shastra Vistarai. Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukhapadmat Vinisrita. इसे गीता को श्रद्धा पूर्वक ठीक से उसका उच्चारण करो करना चाहिए तो फिर और किसी शास्त्र की जरूरत नहीं है क्योंकि द गीता directly emerged from the mouth of the Padmanabha, Lord Vishnu, who is a, who is synonymous with Lord Krishna. Yat Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad Vrinsita. Because it flowed out directly from the mouth of Lord Krishna. So if you practice it with devotion and correctly, then that itself is self-sufficient. You don't need to other spiritual texts. Today we will see first of all what is the Gita. What is the Gita and why we should study it. The Gita can be viewed from different perspectives, from different angles. The first is that it is an episode of the Mahabharata. You see, most other spiritual texts have are the outcome are the outcome of intense spiritual discipline by exceptional individuals like Lord Buddha, like Guru Nanak, like I mean Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, etc. They were exceptional people. They practiced some kind of internal discipline and and they did it very intensely. And the outcome of their efforts is the knowledge that they gave, and it is generally contained in a book, the Bible, the Guru Granth Sahib, the Dhammapada, the Quran, etc. But the Gita is, firstly, its origin is different, its location is different. It is the Mahabharata is an epic, and epics are narratives which have a very broad canvas in the sense that narrative epics do not deal with petty issues. In an epic, you will not see सास बहू का झगड़ा, ननद भाभी का झगड़ा. These sort of उनकी आपस में नहीं बनती. This sort of domestic issues will not figure in an epic. In an epic, it will be the clash of kingdoms, kings, great heroes, and the outcome of the epic will be of historic importance. For instance, the clash in the Trojan War, it was a clash between an earlier civilization, which was the Asian civilization, and the new and upcoming civilization, which was the Greek civilization. So the Asiatic civilization was on the decline, and the Greek European civilization was on the rise. It was in its youth, and because of that clash, ultimately the European civilization prevailed, and it determined the course of history in Europe because the Greeks won that crucial battle. Similarly, in India, the outcome of the battle between the Kauravas and the Pandavas was of historic importance. In other words, it's a sort of watershed, a kind of dividing line which will give a new turn to the course of human history and human destiny. Things will change radically. I mean, though it was not a battle, events like the French Revolution, they completely gave a new turn to the course of history that was being followed by mankind till then. It ushered in the age of democracy, liberalism, etc. Earlier, the kings ruled by divine right. You know, when in England, when that revolution took place and Cromwell came to power, the king was King Charles the First. So when they they overthrew him and then they called him for trial. So King Charles the First said that I will not come for trial. You may do whatever you like, but I will not come for trial because you have no right to try me. I have I was appointed by divine right. You did not appoint me. So it is God's wish. So I am accountable only to the Supreme and not to any other human agency. This is what I was saying in the beginning, that Sethiji was such an integral part of this place that it is difficult to think of this place without him, that he is no more there. Anyway, so this is so the first perspective from which you can view the Gita is it is an episode in a narrative. The Mahabharata is a huge narrative. There are many other stories also, Nal, Damayanti, and so many other. This is one of them. So it is an episode of an epic, and I have told you what an epic is. The second perspective from which the Gita can be viewed is that it is a primary text of the Vedantic philosophy. The word Vedant has a very simple meaning. उसका संधि विच्छेद करो तो it means जो वेदों के अंत पे आए. There are 4 Vedas, and at the end of these Vedas are scattered the various Upanishads. There are 100 plus number of Upanishads, and they are scattered at the end of the various Vedas. Some is at the end of Yajur, some Rig, some Sam, some this, etc. That is and the philosophy that is explained in these various Upanishads is known as the Vedant, जो वेदों के अंत पे आए. So that is the primary meaning of the word Vedant. So the Gita is a primary Vedantic text. The Vedantic philosophy comprises other texts also, but the first is the Upanishads. The second is the Brahma Sutras. The Brahma Sutras also are Vedantic texts. And the third is the Bhagavad Gita. So you can say that the Vedantic philosophy sits on a 3-legged stool. There are stools with 4 legs, but there are certain stools with 3 legs. So this is the Vedantic philosophy rests on a 3-legged stool, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the second perspective with which you can view the Bhagavad Gita. The third perspective is that it is a practical guide, a practical handbook for the practice of yoga. योग का अभ्यास कैसे किया जाए, उसका सारी उसकी शैली रीति जो भी है बताना है, इट इज a practical handbook, a guide to the practice of yoga. That is the third perspective. The fourth perspective is very interesting. The fourth perspective says that the Gita is not only a text, it is not only an episode in an epic and a text or a primary text of the Vedantic philosophy, a handbook for the practice of yoga. It is a living power. It is something living. It's a living entity. Just as you must be knowing, when they refer to the Guru, to the Granth Sahib, what do they say? Guru Granth Sahib. It means what? It means what? It's a living entity. और उसको पंखा झलते हैं. And then in the Gurdwara, firstly the Guru Granth Sahib is always placed above the level at which most people are sitting. And nobody is supposed to sit on a level higher than the Guru Granth Sahib. Secondly, they also have periods when the Guru Granth Sahib takes rest. They close the doors and Guru Granth Sahib is taking rest. So all this denotes what? That they treat that book as a living power. ये जो living power है, इसकी implications बड़ी important है. In other words, it is a book. It is something with which you can have a relationship. Just as a child has a relationship with his mother, a brother and sister have relationships, so etc. Friends have relationships. Human beings can have different kinds of relationships amongst themselves. But the point is, a relationship is possible only between two conscious entities. So, in other words, if you are a conscious entity, you can have a relationship with the Gita because it too is a living entity. इसका जो आगे implication है वो बड़ा important है. वो ये है, and this is something which you have to experience for yourself. It is not something which someone will tell you. वो ये है कि if, for instance, तुम्हारे अंदर ये प्रेरणा आती है कि मैं गीता को समझूं, गीता में क्या कहा है वो जानूं, तो if you read the Gita directly, you may not understand it because it is 18 chapters, exactly 700 shlokas, exact. So people often tend to get lost. So the Gita, so you can pray to the Gita that I want to come to you. I want to understand what is contained in you, but for whatever reason I'm not getting, please help me reach you. And you will see that the Gita will respond to your prayer. For instance, often when I start this Gita classes series, people tell me, हमारा गीता समझने को मन तो बहुत करता है पर टाइम नहीं मिलता. This is a common complaint. So I tell them कि ये जो बात तुम मुझे सुना रहे हो, यही गीता को कह के देखो. टेल द गीता कि मैं आपके पास आना चाहता हूँ, आपके चरणों में शरण लेना चाहता हूँ, पर मुझे वो मौका उपलब्ध कराओ जिससे कि मैं आ सकूं. एंड यू विल सी वो हो जाएगा. Circumstances of your life will rearrange themselves in such a way that you will have access to the Gita. Either you will find some simple booklet which will explain the Gita, or you will meet someone, or you will come across some article or some YouTube channel पे कोई गीता समझा रहा है बड़े simple terms में. In other words, you can have a relationship with the Gita, just as you can have a relationship with of protection a child has with his mother, a devotee can have with the Gita. You can tell the Gita that please help me come to you, and you will see how the circumstances will change. For instance, it is a simple fact that if somebody is in great financial difficulty, he cannot study the Gita and try to understand and all that because his mind is distracted of financial stress. So if he tells the Gita that I want to understand you, but because of financial difficulty I am distracted, तो गीता ये नहीं कि it will suddenly make you an Ambani or an Adani or something, but it will remove that financial distress, strain, and it will. But you should also be sincere in and not just expect this thing to suddenly make you rich. So this is the import. This is the fourth perspective from which you can approach the Gita as a living entity with whom you can have a relationship. And the best description of that relationship would be of mother and child. Just as a mother looks after a child, the Gita will look after you. और गीता में ही यह बात कही है, योगक्षेमम वहम्य, कि मैं अपने डिसाइपल्स का वेल बीइंग, उनके उनके जीवन का ध्यान रखता हूं. Yogakshamam Vahamyam is a phrase taken from the Gita in which Lord Krishna assures the people, the devotee Arjuna, that I will look after you. And for your information, LIC ने इसको पकड़ लिया, योगक्षेमम वहाम्यहम, और उन्होंने इस चीज को अपना लोगो बना लिया. मतलब कि अगर तुम वक्त से LIC के प्रीमियम्स पे करोगे तो LIC तुम्हारा पूरा ध्यान रखेगा. Like Lord Krishna will look after his devotees, LIC will look after you, provided you pay your premiums in time. So these are the perspectives. Now we come to a more general discussion. Why should we study the Gita? You see, different people study the Gita for different reasons. और इसका भी भगवान कृष्ण ने गीता में ही डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है कि people approach me, people are my devotees for different reasons. The first is आर्त. आर्त का क्या मतलब है? जो दुख में है, दुखियाई आत्मा, someone who is in distress. And the best example of this is Draupadi herself. वो बीच सभा में Draupadi was in a crisis, isn't it? And she prayed to Lord Krishna and he helped her. You know that story, everybody. So how he helped her, you know that. So she was Arta, and we'll discuss this thing in greater detail when we come to that shloka. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinorjuna artha jigyasurartharthi jnanischa bharatarshava. The artha is one who is in distress, and he basically wants relief. The artha is approaching Lord Krishna for relief because he is in a crisis. Like Draupadi was in a crisis, he is in a crisis and he prays to Lord Krishna. और इसमें भी जो कहानी है वो बड़ी, what should I say, इंग्लिश में जिसको कहेंगे, इट इज वेरी क्यूट. वो कहानी ये है कि भगवान द्रौपदी ने भगवान कृष्ण से कहा कि तुमने मेरी रक्षा तो की, पर इतनी देर क्यों लगाई, इतनी देर क्यों लगाई आने में? तो भगवान कृष्ण ने जवाब दिया कि तुमने जब मुझे याद किया, तुमने मुझे द्वारकाधीश कह के याद किया, तो द्वारका से यहाँ तक आने में चार्टर्ड प्लेन में भी टाइम लगेगा. आई कैन नॉट रीच इमीडिएटली. इवन बाई चार्टर्ड फ्लाइट इट विल टेक टाइम। पर अगर तुम मुझे हृदयवासी कह के पुकारते तो मैं तुरंत आ जाता। दिस इज द स्टोरी कि जो हृदय में वास करता है, अगर उस तरह से मुझे पुकारते तो मैं तुरंत तुम्हारे आगे प्रकट हो जाता। दिस इज द स्टोरी। द्वारकाधीश की वजह से देर लगी, हृदयवासी इमीडिएट इफेक्ट होता। एनीवे, सो the second, so this is the first artha kind of devotee. The second is artharthi. Artharthi is someone who has from before an agenda. मतलब उसके दिमाग में पहले से ही कुछ है, उसने सोचा हुआ, and he wants Lord Krishna's help in reaching that goal. He invokes Lord Krishna's help for reaching that goal. It is a preset agenda, and so the important thing is, this is very important. An artharthi does not want Lord Krishna's consciousness. He wants Lord Krishna's help and grace to reach a goal which he has decided from before. जैसे कि किसी को आजकल तो बहुत मुश्किल हो गया है, शायद भगवान कृष्ण भी नहीं हेल्प कर पाए, ग्रीन कार्ड चाहिए। इफ समवन वांट्स ए ग्रीन कार्ड तो वो अपनी तरफ से पूरी कोशिश करता है पर नहीं हो पाता, देन ही वांट्स गॉड्स हेल्प। और इसके जो एविडेंस है वो ये है कि कोई वैष्णो देवी जाता, लोग वैष्णो देवी किस लिए जाते? कभी सुना है किसी को कहते कि मन्नत पूरी करने, या जब मन्नत पूरी हो गई तो उसका वो चुकाने? बेसिकली इट इज ट्रीटेड एज ए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। If the mother in Vaishno Devi has fulfilled your wish, then you have to fulfill your part of the contract by offering something. Otherwise, it will be treated as a breach of contract. So, this is the attitude of the अर्थार्थी। और इसका यही है, कोई तिरुपति जाता है, कोई वैष्णो देवी जाता है। और आप लोगों को शायद पता हो, साउथ इंडिया में एक श्राइन है वैलांगनी, इट्स डीप इन केरला एंड इट्स ऑफ वर्जिन मेरी, इट्स ऑफ अच्छा तमिलनाडु। तो देयर पीपल गो एंड उसकी कंडीशन बड़ी टफ है टू रीच दैट श्राइन। एनीवे, द आइडिया इज दे हैव ए प्री सेट गोल and they want God's help to supplement their efforts to reach that goal. But this is what what Ramakrishna used to say. He says कि हम लोग भगवान 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 की पूजा तो करते हैं, पर हमें भगवान नहीं चाहिए, हमें सिर्फ भगवान की मदद चाहिए जिससे कि हम ज्यादा हैप्पी और सक्सेसफुल वर्ल्डली लाइफ लीड कर, so that our worldly life becomes more happy, peaceful, etc. That is why we want God's grace. We don't want God's consciousness. कभी नहीं सुना होगा आपने कि किसी ने ये कहा कि पहले मुझे गीता समझ में नहीं आती थी, मैं वैष्णो देवी गया और अब गीता समझ में आ। नेवर, इट विल नेवर हैपन। या तिरुपति जाने के बाद मुझे ईशा उपनिषद का ज्ञान मैसेज समझ में आया, नेवर। It will be always some worldly thing, some worldly goal to achieve that. Mind you, sometimes that goal can be very noble. For instance, I don't know if you know it. In Pakistan, Pakistan is otherwise quite a backward country, but there is one hospital, set up by Imran Khan, that cricketer. कैंसर हॉस्पिटल, इट इज सम खातून ने, इट इज आफ्टर हिज मदर, Imran Khan's mother died of cancer, so he took a vow that he will collect funds, use his contacts, extensive contacts, high profile contacts, collect funds and set up that hospital. That hospital is what they call state of the art. That is latest equipment for cancer treatment. वो chemotherapy, radiation जो जो वो सारा उसमें latest है. So so when someone wants to achieve a goal, he didn't set it up only for any selfish purpose. He set it up for serving humanity. So what I'm saying is, an Artharthi's motives can be very noble, can be very unselfish. But the fact is, he is not desirous of achieving unity with God. उसको भगवान की चेतना नहीं चाहिए, उसको भगवान की मदद चाहिए. Am I clear? So this is the second kind. One is artha, the other is artha. The third is jigyasu. Jigyasu is someone who is intellectually developed. From the beginning, he is troubled by deep philosophical questions. Who created this world? वो मुकेश का गाना है ना, ए दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई, काहे को तूने ये दुनिया बनाई. Why did you create this headache for so many people? What drove you? So these are philosophical questions. Who created this world? Why he created this world? What is our place in this world? What is the aim of our life? Are we here in this world only because our parents gave birth to us, or is there some other purpose? Are we here only to keep this cycle going? We will give birth to others who will give birth to others, and the cycle will go on. Is that the only purpose? So these questions, so you can, in a general term, you can say they are intellectuals who want answers to these deep philosophical questions. They are the jigyasu, जिनमें जानने की इच्छा है. And the fourth are the bhaktas. Now this is the important part. A bhakta wants God for his own sake. He does not want God for achieving any ulterior purpose. See, the Artha wanted to be helped in crisis. और उसका प्रूफ है कि once Draupadi was out of that crisis, after that, bye bye. फिर नहीं कभी उसने भगवान कृष्ण को कहा कि मुझे अपनी वो चेतना दो जो आपकी कॉस्मिक कॉन्शियसनेस है. आई वॉन्ट दैट. क्राइसिस ओवर. जयराम जी की. Second is the artharthi, same thing. Once the goal is achieved, then it's back to square one. And then there is an intellectual who finds answers to his questions. And if those answers are satisfactory, he is okay. The activity ends there. But with the bhakta, he wants God for his own sake. He does not want God for the fulfillment of worldly purposes. He does not want God for secular reasons. This is very important. He wants God for his own sake, and Lord Krishna in the Gita will again and again say that such people are the dearest to me. वो मेरे सबसे प्रिय, जो मुझे मेरी खातिर चाहते, not my help for achieving something else. So that is, और इसका श्री अरविंद ने बड़ा ब्यूटीफुल एक ऑब्जर्वेशन की है कि जो ट्रू भक्त है, द रियल भक्त, भक्ति योग की जो फाइनल और हाईएस्ट अटरेंस है, जो उसकी स्पीच है, वो ये है, वो उन्होंने वहां से लिया है ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट ऑफ द बाइबल से. श्री अरविंद ने सिंथेसिस ऑफ योगा में कहा, आई विल लव दी इवन इफ दाउ स्लेयस्ट. दिस इज द फाइनल अटरेंस ऑफ भक्ति योग. It is generally we are devoted to God because He helps, He helps us in fulfilling our desire. But the true Bhakta will say, I will love thee even if thou slayest. तू चाहे मुझे मार भी देगा फिर भी मैं तेरे से डिवोटेड रहूंगा. आई कैनॉट स्टे विदाउट. सो these are the various motives with which people approach the Gita. And we need to do serious soul searching. अपने अंदर झांक के देखना चाहिए कि हम किस कैटेगरी में पढ़ते हैं. आर वी आर्थर्स, आर वी अर्थार्थी, आर वी जिज्ञासु और आर वी भक्त. और लॉर्ड रामकृष्ण का वो दूसरा बड़ा सुंदर एग्जाम्पल है. एक बार किसी ने उनसे पूछा, हैव यू सीन गॉड? He said yes. He said, can you show him to me? He said yes. It's a big challenge. So he said, show. He said, bring a bucket of water. फिर रामकृष्ण ने उसको गर्दन से ऐसे दबोचा और उसका सिर वो बाल्टी में डुबो दिया और डुबाए रखा. कुछ देर के बाद वो छटपटाने लगा. He became fidgety, he couldn't breathe. And when he became very uneasy, then he pulled him out. And he said, when your head was dipped in water, what was the foremost thought in your mind? He said, किसी तरह से मुझे सांस आए. Somehow I should be able to breathe. That is all that I want. So Lord Ramakrishna said, when you will want God with that same intensity, you will find it. तब मिल जाए. When you और गीता में भगवान कृष्ण ने इसके लिए वाक्य प्रयोग किया, भक्त्या अव्यभिचारिण्य, अनवेवरिंग डिवोशन. एकाग्र चित्त से जब तुम सिर्फ मुझे चाहोगे तब वो मिलता है. दिस इज अबाउट लॉर्ड. सो इन अदर वर्ड्स, according to these examples, if we are not able to reach God, it is because of lack of sufficient motivation on our part. We don't want Him with sufficient intensity, with sufficient persistence. So these are the four types of, you can say, devotees.